Greetings everyone. I invite you to the realm of Fantasia, spoke a divine goddess as she welcomed a gathering of high school students whom she had summoned. The students found themselves in a state of confusion, unsure of what was happening. However, the goddess reassured them, urging them to stay composed and explained that the mighty demon king had been revived, causing a worldwide crisis in Fantasia. This was the reason they had all been summoned. The goddess needed their assistance to rescue the world. Witnessing the apparent confusion among the group, the goddess proceeded to clarify that they would soon be transported to a temple in Fantasia. Upon arrival, they would be warmly received by a saintess, who would offer them both emotional and material assistance. Furthermore, the saintess would guide them in acclimating to their new surroundings within this unfamiliar world. At that moment, the goddess opened the floor for questions, and a student named MANHWA spoke up. He inquired whether elements such as levels, skills, status windows, and monsters existed in the world of Fantasia. With a touch of enthusiasm, the goddess affirmed that indeed, all of those aspects existed, much to Hanwu's delight. In that moment, another student named Jang Mian stepped forward and inquired if there were princes and knights like those depicted in fantasy stories within Fantasia. With great joy, the goddess confirmed that this was indeed the case. Then, Choi Gangmin, yet another student, raised a question, asking if the most exceptional among them would be designated as the hero. The goddess responded with a no, explaining that each and every one of them was considered a hero, irrespective of their abilities. However, not everyone had been bestowed with the same level of power, and to receive such power, they needed to gain recognition from various gods and goddesses in Fantasia and receive their blessings, thereby transforming into true heroes. Seizing the opportunity, their class president, Yubora, took the initiative and inquired about the possibility of contacting their family members while residing in Fantasia. With a tinge of sadness, the goddess regretfully stated that it would be challenging to maintain such communication. Yubora further questioned the timeline for their return home, to which the goddess clarified that they could only do so once they had vanquished the Demon King. Additionally, whichever gods or goddesses bestowed their blessings upon them would grant them a single wish before their departure back to their original world. In response, a swarm of students bombarded the goddess with numerous questions, each of which she earnestly addressed. Once the students had exhausted their inquiries, the goddess inquired if anyone had any remaining questions. At that moment, a particular student named Kang Hansu stepped forward and requested if the goddess could send him back to Earth. Perplexed, the goddess responded that he would be returned to Earth once they had successfully defeated the Demon King. However, Kang Hansu further explained that he desired an immediate return to Earth, as he had no intentions of becoming a hero. To his astonishment, the goddess clarified that it was indeed possible to send him back to Earth. Nevertheless, the goddess insisted that Kang Hansu respond to her inquiry before granting his request. She questioned why he desired to ignore the situation and return to his ordinary life, fully aware that a world teeming with countless lives was in peril. In response, Kang Hansu expressed his view, stating, "How can someone who causes their family to worry be capable of saving the world?" This caused a hushed silence to fall upon the room, and the goddess approached Kang Hansu, inquiring about his name. He revealed that his name was Kang Hansu. Having gathered this information, the goddess turned to the others, inviting anyone else who wished to return to Earth. She reassured them that she would not coerce anyone to stay against their will. However, much to Kang Hansu's surprise, he stood alone in his desire to leave. Consequently, the goddess conjured a portal to Earth specifically for Kang Hansu, bidding him a gentle farewell. Just as Kang Hansu prepared to depart, his fellow classmates entrusted him with messages to deliver to their families, urging him to fulfill this responsibility on their behalf. Nevertheless, Kang Hansu, wearing a seemingly disappointed expression, bravely stepped into the portal. To his astonishment, he found himself instantly transported to a forest. Initially bewildered by his surroundings, Kang Hansu was abruptly interrupted by a sound that resembled a human. He turned around, hoping to inquire about his current location, only to be greeted by a distressing sight. He was shocked to witness a group of wolf-like monsters clutching the lifeless body of an elf. Caught off guard, Kang Hansu stood frozen in shock, his eyes locked on the unsettling scene before him. In his mind, he couldn't help but mutter, "Curse that goddess." However, his thoughts were abruptly shattered as the menacing monsters started to pursue him, their eerie screams of "Meat! Meat!" echoing through the air. Instinctively, he began running and screaming, the realization sinking in that he was no longer on Earth. The scene transitions to Sanctuary City, a bustling urban center within Fantasia. There, Kang Hansu's classmates are being transported to a temple within the city. As they reach their destination, they are warmly welcomed by the saintess, accompanied by Alsus, a skilled swordsman who serves as an instructor for the heroes. Amidst the playful exchanges and excitement among the female heroes over the charms of the princess, their lively banter is abruptly interrupted by Princess Athena, a magic instructor for the heroes. As the saintess delivers her address to the heroes, MANHWA takes the opportunity to open his status window. Within the window, he finds his name, level, blessing, curse, and dividend displayed. In the blessings section, MANHWA discovers that he has been bestowed with the Hero F title. Curiosity piqued, he clicks on the title to learn more about its significance. The description reveals that the hero is granted automatic translation abilities for languages spoken by friendly races, and their experience and statistics from hunting or killing monsters are significantly augmented. Upon reading this, MANHWA feels a sense of intrigue, but also a tinge of disappointment, realizing that his fellow classmates have received the same blessing, making it less special. In the midst of the discussion, Choi Gangmin summoned the attention of the saintess and inquired about the process of receiving blessings from the gods. The saintess elucidated that to obtain a divine blessing, one must find favor with a god, and each god has their own criteria. However, all the gods seek someone capable of defeating the Demon King. In that very moment, a flurry of notifications appeared before the heroes, indicating that a particular god was observing them, much to their surprise and joy. Expressing her sincerest wishes for the hero's success in attaining a god's blessing, the saintess conveyed her regards. However, the joyful atmosphere was momentarily interrupted by a student who questioned the fate of those unable to receive a god's blessing. To their shock, the saintess simply stated that she had no time to care for such individuals. With this revelation, the heroes embarked on their adventure in a fantasy world brimming with hope and dreams. In the forest, Kang Hansu continues to flee from the pursuing monsters. Exhausted, he finds a momentary respite near a tree. However, his brief rest is abruptly interrupted by an arrow shot by the wolf-like creatures, narrowly missing him. In this moment, frustration wells up within him as he realizes that the goddess had never intended to send him back home in the first place. Despite this realization, he pushes forward, resuming his escape. To his surprise, his status window suddenly appears before him as he runs. As he glances at the window, his attention is drawn to the Curse tab, and he wonders why he has been assigned a hero rank E in the Curse category. Upon clicking on the Curse tab, the system unveiled its details. It stated that the languages of hostile races would be automatically translated for the hero, and any experience and statistics gained from killing or hunting monsters would be significantly diminished. As Kang Hansu read through this information, he couldn't help but hold the goddess responsible for his cursed state, suspecting that she might have wished for his demise. Unexpectedly, due to the curse, he became capable of understanding the conversations of the monsters chasing him. In an attempt to reason with the wolf-like creatures, Kang Hansu initially seemed to make progress. However, to his dismay, they continued their relentless pursuit, showing no signs of relenting in their determination to devour him. As Kang Hansu continued his desperate run, exhaustion took its toll, forcing him to lean against a tree, his mind clouded with fatigue. However, his momentary respite was rudely shattered when an arrow suddenly pierced his leg. Looking around, he discovered a group of fairies concealed among the treetops of the jungle. Despite their attempts to communicate with him, Kang Hansu found himself unable to comprehend their words. The elves' conversation was abruptly interrupted by the sudden appearance of the pack of wolf-like monsters behind Kang Hansu, their excitement evident at having discovered the fairies. With both the fairies and the wolf-like monsters momentarily distracted, Kang Hansu recognizes this as an opportunity to make his escape. However, hindered by the injury to his leg and drained of energy, he finds himself unable to flee. He lowers himself to the ground, resting his back against a tree, deep in contemplation about whether to pray to the gods for assistance in his current predicament. As he remains in a state of disarray, an unfamiliar entity materializes behind him, and a notification promptly appears before him, indicating that a certain god is observing him. In this pivotal moment, tears streaming down his face, Kang Hansu implores the unknown god to save him. Sensing his distress, the god inquires about why Kang Hansu is alone. Uncertain whether this god is affiliated with the goddess who summoned them, Kang Hansu chooses to disregard the question and instead pleads with the god to rescue him, lamenting the excruciating pain in his injured leg. This revelation sparks a conflict within the unknown god, and Kang Hansu inquires if there are any other gods available to assist him. The unknown god responds by stating that he is the only god present, and interestingly, he expresses satisfaction with that fact. Intrigued by this response, Kang Hansu questions whether the god himself is an outsider, a term used to describe individuals who are outside of a particular social group. The god expresses curiosity and asks for an explanation of the term. Mindful of avoiding any accidental curses, Kang Hansu carefully explains that an outsider refers to a solitary wolf that roams alone through the untamed wilderness. To Kang Hansu's relief, this definition greatly excites the certain unknown god. The certain god acknowledges their status as an outsider and inquires if Kang Hansu is also an outsider. This question prompts Kang Hansu to reflect on his own identity, as he perceives himself to be an insider rather than an outsider. However, he decides to align himself with the label of an outsider in the context of his current circumstances, explaining to the certain god that this designation is why he was the only one sent to the wilderness while his classmates were sent to the temple. Upon hearing Kang Hansu's explanation, the certain god enters a contemplative state, considering whether to extend their help. They find a connection to Kang Hansu's situation, drawing parallels to their own past experiences. While Kang Hansu patiently waited, the certain god reaches a decision to assist him. The god proceeds to heal Kang Hansu's injured legs and bestows upon him an outsider's blessing, which resets all of Kang Hansu's attributes except for death. However, there is a clause attached to this blessing. If Kang Hansu were to leave the wilderness, something ominous would occur. Perplexed by the clause, Kang Hansu seeks clarification from the certain god, asking if he would be punished for no longer being an outsider. The god clarifies that their assistance is only extended to those who are considered outsiders. Embracing his new role as an outsider, Kang Hansu confidently dashes away, drawing the attention of the wolf monsters, who swiftly give chase. As he flees from the pursuing creatures, Kang Hansu begins to experience the full extent of the god's blessings. He realizes that he can sprint at full speed without feeling any fatigue due to his stamina being reset to normal all the time, and even when the monsters hurl rocks in an attempt to hinder him, he remains unscathed by their attacks. The certain god observes Kang Hansu with a mixture of nervousness and anticipation as he runs at maximum speed, wearing a wild expression on his face, all the while expressing gratitude towards the god. As Kang Hansu continues his rapid sprint, he eventually reaches a cliff and contemplates the idea of jumping off it. Recognizing that, aside from a fatal attack, even critical injuries resulting from a fall should be reset immediately, Kang Hansu considers taking the leap. However, the certain god interjects to provide a crucial piece of information, explaining that falling from such a great height would undoubtedly result in instant death. In a state of nervousness, Kang Hansu ponders his next course of action as the monsters draw closer to his location. However, he manages to regain his composure and devises a plan. Kang Hansu confidently addresses the monsters, capturing their attention. He declares that whichever one of them manages to catch him first will be rewarded with the most delectable part of his body, as an enticing incentive. Consequently, all of the monsters eagerly rush towards Kang Hansu, driven by their determination to claim the promised reward. However, their relentless pursuit leads them to plummet down the cliff. With his outsider blessing at play, Kang Hansu skillfully lands on their bodies, using them as a cushion to minimize the impact and ensure his survival. As he rises from the heap of injured monsters, one of them, though severely wounded, attempts to launch an attack on Kang Hansu. Swiftly, Kang Hansu spots the monster's status window, revealing its identity as a level 3 Blue Moon Butcher. Realizing that the monster's level surpasses his own, Kang Hansu comprehends the crucial nature of hunting higher-level monsters in this world, where each successful encounter results in a boost to his experience and levels. Without hesitation, Kang Hansu grasps a nearby rock, poised and prepared to annihilate the monsters. At the temple, the heroes are engaged in an educational session led by the Saintess, who enlightens them about the concepts of levels and blessings. As the Saintess imparts her knowledge, Jiang Mian poses an intriguing question that catches the attention of a particular god. Intrigued by her curiosity, the god bestows upon her a blessing known as charm. Overwhelmed with excitement, Jiang Mian starts emitting an enchanting aura that captivates the hearts of those of the opposite sex in her vicinity. Concerned about the consequences of this newfound power, the Saintess advises Jiang Mian to cease using her blessing. However, Jiang Mian adamantly refuses, drawing the disapproving gaze of the god who bestowed the blessing. In response to her defiance, the god proceeds to enact a curse upon her, known as punishment. Perplexed, Jiang Mian inquired about the reason behind receiving a curse, to which the Saintess explained that the gods possess the power to bestow both blessings and curses upon heroes based on their actions. At that moment, Jiang Mian's curse, known as punishment, came into effect. According to the curse, any damage or criticism she receives will be significantly amplified, and each time she acts on impulse, she will endure severe punishment, resulting in immense pain. Once the pain subsided, Jiang Mian found herself in a rather gloomy state. However, Ethna, understanding her plight, made an effort to lift her spirits. Ethna encouraged Jiang Mian not to lose hope, explaining that certain curses can be counterbalanced by blessings. She further reassured Jiang Mian that as her mind and body grow stronger through leveling up, the pain she experiences will gradually diminish. These words of encouragement brightened not only Jiang Mian's mood but also uplifted the spirits of those around her. Returning to the wilderness, Kang Hansu found himself perplexed as he realized that defeating the injured monsters did not result in leveling up. This led him to wonder if it was a consequence of the hero's curse. Nonetheless, Kang Hansu decided to make the most of the situation and picked up a dagger from one of the defeated monsters. With the dagger in hand, he cautiously ventured back into the forest. As he moved through the trees, Kang Hansu suddenly caught sight of a group of wolf-like monsters. Reacting swiftly, he hid behind a tree to avoid detection. Meanwhile, the keen senses of the wolf-like monsters allowed them to pick up Kang Hansu's scent, prompting them to start prowling the forest in search of him. Undeterred, Kang Hansu focused his thoughts on devising a plan to deal with the looming threat posed by the wolf-like monsters. Equipped with a rock tied to a rope, Kang Hansu emerged from his hiding spot and confronted the approaching monsters. With a wild determination in his eyes, he swung the rock with all his might, relying on his outsider blessing to sustain his stamina. One by one, he swiftly defeated each monster, transitioning from prey to predator. The certain outsider god observed with a hint of admiration as Kang Hansu showcased his newfound prowess. Approaching one of the defeated creatures, Kang Hansu adopted an intimidating expression and made a pact with it, promising not to harm the creature if it revealed the location of human settlements. Trembling in fear, the creature pointed behind itself and yelled, "Over there!" as an indication. Capitalizing on this opportunity, Kang Hansu interrogated the creature about its species, to which it responded, "Knoll." Satisfied with the answers, Kang Hansu wore a smile as he wiped the knoll's head with his rock, swiftly ending its existence. After the encounter, Kang Hansu proceeded to assess his statistics but felt a sense of frustration. Despite vanquishing numerous knolls, his levels remained unchanged, causing him to ponder the reasons behind this discrepancy. In the temple, the prince made an announcement to the assembled heroes, informing them that their training in swordsmanship and magic would commence the following day. He encouraged them to choose their preferred field of interest for the training. This prompted Choi Gangmin to inquire whether he could pursue both disciplines simultaneously. The prince responded that there was no reason why he couldn't pursue both, allowing Choi Gangmin to entertain the possibility. Oh Han-woo, however, voiced his uncertainty about participating in any of the training. The prince assured him that he had the freedom to make his own choices. Intrigued by this revelation, Oh Han-woo asked if he could leave the temple altogether. The prince confirmed that he was free to do so. It was at this moment that a certain god suddenly took notice of Oh Han-woo, piquing their interest in him. In his room, Oh Han-woo contemplated his decision not to participate in the training alongside the other heroes. He firmly believed himself to be the main character of this world and intended to live his life in a way befitting a protagonist. The next day, as the prince addressed the heroes about their upcoming training, Oh Han-woo found himself engrossed in his status window. To his surprise, he discovered a new blessing called Special, which stated that he was the world's most unique and extraordinary main character, with a blessing exclusive to him alone. Filled with excitement, Oh Han-woo looked at Choi Gangmin from a distance and silently wished him good luck before confidently stepping out of the temple. With determination, Oh Han-woo made his way to a mercenary guild and approached the receptionist, expressing his desire to register as a mercenary. His bold statement caught the attention of a woman with vibrant pink hair, who didn't hesitate to dismiss his intentions and advised him to go home. Oh Han-woo, seeing this encounter as the start of his protagonist's journey, calmly responded that he wasn't simply spewing nonsense. He challenged the woman to join him on his first mission as a mercenary if she was genuinely concerned about him, reminding her not to judge a book by its cover. A smile formed on the woman's face, and Oh Han-woo couldn't help but feel like this was the beginning of an exciting story. He confidently revealed that he was a chosen one, which initially led to the girl's disbelief. However, his conviction and excitement caused him to blush, while the certain immature god who had blessed him couldn't resist bursting into laughter. In the wilderness, the lifeless bodies of gnolls lay scattered around Kang Hansu, evidence of his brutal annihilation. Having completed his hunt, he took note of a human village situated to the west. His previous interrogation of the gnolls confirmed the village's existence, leaving little doubt about its location. Grateful for the outsider blessing that had undoubtedly saved his life, Kang Hansu expressed his appreciation. However, he chose not to dwell on his gratitude for long and pressed on further into the forest, the certain outsider god shadowing his every move. Suddenly, without warning, a pair of gnolls launched a surprise attack on Kang Hansu. His quick reflexes kicked in, allowing him to swiftly draw his dagger and deliver a fatal blow to one of the attackers. With little hesitation, he moved on to dispatch the others, slashing through their defenses. Yet, despite his success, a perplexing thought lingered in Kang Hansu's mind: he couldn't understand why his level hadn't increased. In a sudden turn of events, Kang Hansu received a notification alerting him to the outsider god's uneasiness. Strange noises filled the air, capturing his attention. Curiosity piqued, he cautiously made his way towards the source of the commotion. To his surprise, he stumbled upon 3 human adventurers in the midst of their own venture. Remaining hidden, Kang Hansu observed their movements, but his concealment was soon compromised when one of the adventurers caught sight of him. In a swift motion, an arrow was shot in his direction, narrowly missing its mark. Realizing that communication would be futile due to the language barrier, Kang Hansu reluctantly put away his weapon and emerged from his hiding spot, raising his hands in a gesture of surrender. Despite his non-threatening stance, one of the adventurers made an aggressive move towards Kang Hansu, prompting him to speak out, knowing his words would likely go unheard. With a hint of frustration, he uttered the phrase, "I am not a bad another wordler." The scene transitions, revealing Kang Hansu and the 3 human adventurers now in a seemingly amicable relationship. As they continued their journey together, Kang Hansu managed to gather their names through gestures, despite the language barrier. The first adventurer, a weathered and hairy old man, introduced himself as Gary. Kang Hansu inferred that Gary held a position of leadership within the group, given his commanding presence. Carrying a massive sword effortlessly, Gary showcased his formidable physical strength. The second adventurer, a young man by the name of Cole, possessed a more compact physique. Kang Hansu noticed that Cole had a well-built and seasoned body, and he seemed to be constantly cheerful, often erupting in laughter. Cole had a pair of long swords sheathed at his waist, ready for action at any moment. Lastly, the only female member of the group was Misa. Kang Hansu observed that she specialized in ranged attacks, wielding a large steel crossbow. Judging by her petite stature, Kang Hansu surmised that the crossbow was not primarily for combat, but rather for other purposes within the party. As the group pressed on through the dense forest, their attention was drawn to a distant plume of smoke. Kang Hansu's eyes lit up with excitement, as he eagerly speculated that it could be a sign of a nearby village where people resided. However, the certain outsider god expressed its disapproval, reminding Kang Hansu that he was not behaving like a true outsider. In response, Kang Hansu pleaded with the certain god, urging it to be patient with him. He explained that he was only pretending to get along with the adventurers in order to find a way to leave the forest. Kang Hansu hoped that by playing his part and gaining their trust, he could ultimately fulfill his goal and escape from this unfamiliar wilderness. In a sudden turn of events, the group found themselves ambushed by a pack of gnolls, plunging them into a fierce battle. Amidst the chaos, Misa found herself in a perilous situation as a gnoll sneaked up on her from behind. Kang Hansu swiftly intervened, saving her from the imminent danger, before engaging in combat with other gnolls. Once the battle had subsided, a palpable shift in the atmosphere could be felt. The adventurers cast Kang Hansu a menacing glare, their previous camaraderie seemingly evaporating. Kang Hansu attempted to reason with them, but his efforts were in vain. Without warning, Misa shot an arrow directly into his chest, causing him to collapse to the ground, racked with pain. As Kang Hansu lay on the ground, we observed the 3 adventurers engaging in a hushed discussion. They come to the realization that the encounter with the gnolls has shed light on Kang Hansu's true danger and strength. They acknowledge that had it not been for this revelation, their initial plan to sell him as a slave would have faced significant challenges. Consequently, they decide to confiscate Kang Hansu's sole possession, his dagger. Cole approached Kang Hansu to retrieve his dagger, but he was taken aback when he noticed that Kang Hansu still had a firm grip on it. Misa let out a scream, suggesting that her previous attack might not have been fatal, and there was a possibility that Kang Hansu was still alive. In response, Cole raised his sword and thrust it into Kang Hansu's chest. To his astonishment, he witnessed Kang Hansu's status window display, which indicated that either someone else shared the same window or someone with a special blessing had peeked at it. However, both conditions required the person in question to be alive. In an instant, Kang Hansu retaliated by stabbing Cole through the neck with his own dagger. Before Gary could react, Kang Hansu swiftly moved behind him and delivered a fatal slash, ultimately ending Gary's life as well. Misa's arrow pierced Kang Hansu's chest, but to her astonishment, it had no effect on him. As she took a step back, pleading for her life, Kang Hansu's expression turned merciless, and he swiftly ended her life. The outsider god observed the unexpected turn of events with a smile. Kang Hansu proceeded to equip himself with Misa's belongings since she had a similar build to him. With everything settled, the outsider god asked Kang Hansu where he was headed, and Kang Hansu explained that he was heading to the village they had spotted earlier. He collected the deceased adventurer's money and set off for the village, with the outsider god following closely behind. At the temple, the heroes displayed their interest in magic and engaged in magic training with Athena. During the lesson, various speculations arose among the heroes regarding shortcuts to mastering magic, such as adding chemistry or calculus to enhance magical abilities instantly. However, Athena intervened and explained that while knowledge is valuable, talent is the most crucial aspect. She emphasized that understanding the teachings of the magic founder is essential in the realm of magic. Athena then demonstrated a fire-type magic spell and clarified that magic is a domain where talent plays a decisive role, determined by one's bloodline and educational background. During the ongoing lecture, Eubora confidently raised her hand and questioned the significance of talent in magic. Intrigued by her inquiry, Athena approached her and proposed an apprenticeship pact. Eubora agreed, and as a result, she received a magic blessing of C rank from Athena. Following the formation of the pact, Athena summoned two types of magic, a bright red flame on her right hand and a dark flame on her left. The flame on her right hand burned brightly, while the dark flame on her left caused her hands to burn. Athena explained to the group that this exemplified the importance of talent. The reason the bright red flame bloomed was due to her blessing in magic, while the lack of a blessing in dark magic caused the dark flame to burn instead of flourishing. The scene transitions back to Kang Hansu, who has arrived at a village. After discreetly greasing some palms to gain entry, Kang Hansu makes his way to a nearby inn where he indulges in a much-needed bath, enjoying a relaxing and refreshing experience. While immersed in the soothing waters, the certain outsider god expresses discomfort to Kang Hansu. Curious, Kang Hansu jokingly asks if it's because he is taking a shower and even playfully inquires about the gender of the certain god. However, the certain god brushes off the question, leaving Kang Hansu to decide to perceive the god as male in order to uphold his own sense of dignity. As Kang Hansu indulged in his bath, the certain god expressed his concerns, but refused to divulge any details when Kang Hansu inquired further. Suddenly, a voice from outside the shower room could be heard asking if it was the right room. Kang Hansu quickly shouted, "I am bathing right now, please wait a moment." Hastily dressing himself and arming himself with his weapon, he realized that since he could understand what the person was saying, it indicated that the individual outside the door was not human but a hostile creature. As Kang Hansu contemplated the identity of the person outside, he decided to take a seat and discreetly hide his weapon behind him. He then invited the individual to come in. To his surprise, a middle-aged man entered the room, causing Kang Hansu to question if the man was using some form of disguise. Curiosity piqued, Kang Hansu inquired about the situation, and the mysterious man reassured him, explaining that he was the chief of the village. Upon hearing reports of someone speaking an unfamiliar language in the village, he had come to investigate. Suddenly, the enigmatic man mentioned Kang Hansu's name, leaving him startled, as it became evident that the man could see his stats. The mysterious man offered Kang Hansu advice, suggesting that he should learn how to hide his status in the future. This revelation surprised Kang Hansu, as he had been unaware that it was possible to conceal one's stats. The enigmatic man continued to gaze at Kang Hansu with an air of mystery and mentioned that he had initially mistaken Kang Hansu for a fairy. He went on to explain that their village had a strained relationship with the fairies. The gnolls, who had lost their homes due to the actions of the fairies, had flooded into human territory, resulting in many humans losing their families. In response, the village was formed by individuals who had gathered together with the intention of seeking revenge against the fairies. As the certain outsider god expressed frustration, the mysterious man requested permission to ask Kang Hansu a question. Kang Hansu granted him permission, and the man mentioned that it had been a while since Kang Hansu had consumed the dinner he had spiked with a paralysis potion. He expressed confusion as to why Kang Hansu was still able to move despite the potion's effects. Reacting swiftly, Kang Hansu attempted to strike the mysterious man, but to his dismay, his hand abruptly halted mid-air, rendering him completely immobilized. The mysterious man elucidated that most fairies possessed a high tolerance to potions, prompting him to develop a spell known as the Invincible Rope. He then took Kang Hansu's dagger, assuring him that his current predicament was not his fault but merely a stroke of bad luck. Kang Hansu's frustration intensified in response. The scene abruptly transitions to a mysterious underground prison located beneath the village. Kang Hansu finds himself bound alongside a group of elves, while the enigmatic figure known as Crimson, who is present with them, unveils his own status window. He urges Kang Hansu to examine it closely. Upon learning that Crimson's true identity is revealed, Kang Hansu questions if his fairy curse originated from the goddess. Crimson clarifies that it was not the goddess who bestowed the curse upon him but rather a consequence of his own actions, having committed numerous acts of murder against fairies. As Kang Hansu attempts to explain that he is not a fairy, he is promptly interrupted by Crimson, who ominously points Kang Hansu's own dagger at him. Crimson admits that he had no intention of engaging in prolonged conversation, but upon encountering the dagger, his curiosity got the better of him. Crimson inquired about the origin of Kang Hansu's dagger, prompting Kang Hansu, determined to ensure his survival, to claim that he acquired it by killing a fairy. This revelation surprised Crimson, who expressed astonishment at Kang Hansu's ability to slay a royal fairy given his skills. Crimson then elaborated on Kang Hansu's situation, stating that since Kang Hansu had glimpsed his status window, he must be aware that he is a mage without any magic blessings. However, Kang Hansu, appearing perplexed, questioned the meaning behind Crimson's statement, leaving Crimson surprised by his confusion. Kang Hansu attempted to attribute his lack of knowledge to being an outsider, likening himself to a lone wolf traversing the wilderness. Crimson found humor in this remark, laughing at the analogy. Meanwhile, the certain god offered prayers for Kang Hansu's safety, causing him to question what was amiss. Crimson then divulged his true nature as a dark mage and disclosed that Kang Hansu would serve as his sacrifice to prolong his own life. He revealed that the fairy curse was depleting his life force, but with the aid of his black magic and the use of sacrifice, he could extend his lifespan. Crimson had resolved that Kang Hansu would be his sacrifice this time, leaving Kang Hansu in a state of shock. Kang Hansu then calls Crimson, who inquired whether he was attempting to plead for his life. Kang Hansu responded negatively, prompting Crimson to agree to listen to what he had to say. However, their conversation was abruptly interrupted by the sounds of one of the fairies, which Crimson swiftly silenced with his whip. With Crimson now attentive, Kang Hansu recognized Crimson's potential for psychosis and decided to employ the outsider card as a strategy. Surprisingly, it proved effective, as Crimson began to believe that he, too, was an outsider. Expressing his gratitude for the enlightenment, Crimson proceeded to capture one of the numerous fairies he had bound and placed it upon a magical circle. With a spell cast by Crimson, the magic circle began to emit a radiant glow, and before long, the fairy's life force was fully absorbed, resulting in its demise. Kang Hansu couldn't contain his curiosity and inquired why Crimson didn't appear any younger despite absorbing the fairy's life force. Crimson revealed that it was because he wasn't human. He explained that after being afflicted with the fairy curse, he aged and became pitiful. However, he later encountered a dark mage who proposed a particular experiment. With this, Crimson began disrobing, revealing a shocking sight, a gnoll head embedded in his abdomen, indicating that he was not a typical human but a hybrid of human and gnoll. This revelation left Kang Hansu utterly astonished. Crimson proudly proclaimed that with the intellect of a human and the formidable physique of a gnoll, he would exact his revenge on the fairies. Approaching Kang Hansu, he expressed his gratitude once again for inadvertently exposing his true nature as an outsider. Kang Hansu desperately pleaded with him to spare his life, but Crimson firmly asserted that he had no choice but to kill him, given his outsider status. Realizing that there was no way to reason his way out of this dire situation, Kang Hansu felt a sense of hopelessness settle upon him. Returning to the temple, we find the heroes still under Athena's magical tutelage, witnessing her demonstration of a unique ice rabbit spell. As Athena was about to delve into the concept of unique magic, Kang Mian stepped forward, expressing her concern about not having received any magic blessings and wondering what she should do. This sparked chaos among her classmates as they, too, voiced their desires for magic blessings. Athena smiled in response and decided to select a second apprentice, urging them to come to a consensus among themselves. This led to a heated debate among the heroes as they argued over who would become Athena's next apprentice, adding to the commotion in the room. Amidst the chaos, Eubora inquired about Athena's intentions, but her question was quickly deflected. Athena resumed her lecture on unique magic, explaining that it could be attained through consistent trials, effort, and practice. Eubora drew a parallel to black magic and questioned if it was similar, to which Athena clarified that black magic and white magic were distinct, as it was impractical to practice black magic alone on a continuous basis. In the underground prison, Kang Hansu found himself trapped on the magic circle as Crimson continued to explain the nature of black magic, emphasizing its requirement of constant sacrifices to wield its power. Just as Crimson was about to proceed with his magic, Kang Hansu pleaded with him to pause, stating that he had a request to make. Perplexed, Crimson inquired about the nature of the request, and Kang Hansu revealed that his final wish was to see Misa. The mention of Misa sparked recognition in Crimson, as he realized she hailed from the same village. Curious about their relationship, Crimson questioned Kang Hansu, who responded by stating that he was Misa's lover. As the village chief, Crimson claimed to have knowledge of all the affairs happening within the village. He acknowledged being aware of Misa's intimate relationship with Cole, prompting Kang Hansu to clarify that Cole was Misa's ex-lover and that he, Kang Hansu, was currently in a relationship with her. Intrigued, Crimson demanded proof, to which Kang Hansu suggested that Crimson smell his body with the head of the gnoll in his abdomen. Curiosity piqued, Crimson complied and detected Misa's scent emanating from Kang Hansu's body, leading him to realize that Kang Hansu was indeed telling the truth. Realizing the potential danger in granting Kang Hansu's initial wish, Crimson inquired if he had an alternative request. Kang Hansu expressed his desire for Crimson to release him and allow him to go freely until he reunites with Misa, if he survives his spell. Considering the proposition, Crimson made a promise to Kang Hansu, and they struck a deal. Immediately, the magic circle activated, subjecting Kang Hansu to excruciating pain. As Crimson conveyed his final words, assuring Kang Hansu that he would inform Misa that he had embarked on a distant journey, Kang Hansu couldn't help but smile, knowing that it would be challenging for Crimson to fulfill that promise since Misa had already departed. While Crimson appeared shocked by Kang Hansu's response, Kang Hansu managed to break free from his restraints and delivered a devastating punch to Crimson's chin. Crimson was visibly astonished by Kang Hansu's survival and couldn't comprehend how he managed to endure his spell. In response, Kang Hansu cryptically stated that he would reveal the secret once Crimson was dead. Deep in thought, Kang Hansu came to the realization that his survival was attributed to the resetting of his lifespan through the power of the outsider's skill. With determination, Kang Hansu retrieved his dagger and released one of the fairies, intending to have them serve as a witness. He swiftly dashed away, aware that Crimson couldn't harm him due to their pact, which stipulated that Crimson couldn't harm him until he reunited with Misa, who was no longer alive. In essence, Kang Hansu felt a newfound sense of freedom. As Kang Hansu prepared to leave, Crimson attempted to nullify their pact, but to his surprise, he started bleeding and losing his life force and strength. In a state of confusion, Crimson questioned Kang Hansu's true identity, to which he replied that he was an outsider apostle. This revelation caused the outsider god to brim with excitement. Seizing the opportunity, Kang Hansu decided to make his escape, but Crimson, driven by desperation, attacked him using the innate power of Null swordsmanship. The attack inflicted severe injuries on Kang Hansu, but much to Crimson's disbelief, his wounds instantly healed. Taking advantage of the situation, Kang Hansu swiftly counterattacked, restraining Crimson with the help of the fairy. In a decisive move, Kang Hansu beheaded Crimson, ensuring his demise. To ensure Crimson's complete destruction, Kang Hansu drove the Null head further into his abdomen. With Crimson defeated, Kang Hansu freed the imprisoned elves and called for assistance from the guards and villagers to handle the situation. The scene abruptly shifts, revealing Kang Hansu standing at the edge of a cliff, pursued by a group of people. With limited options available, he makes the daring decision to leap off the cliff, even as arrows whiz past him. Frustration and exasperation consume him as he curses the existence of this unforgiving fantasy world. Returning to the temple, we observe that the matter of who would become Athena's second apprentice has been resolved. This resolution comes about as a result of the arrival of a group of highly skilled mages vying for the esteemed position of the hero's master. With the invaluable guidance of these exceptional masters, the heroes make rapid progress in their magical training. In the village, we find a fairy attending to the injured Esoppresso, who happens to be the maid of the fairy princess. In a moment of urgency, Esoppresso insists that the other fairy leave and the fairy assures her Kang Hansu would be apprehended, the human they are after. With that, the fairy locks the door and leaves. However, Esoppresso's thoughts are quickly interrupted by a sudden knock on the door. To her surprise, another fairy enters and delivers the news that the village mercenaries have lost track of Kang Hansu. Annoyed, Esoppresso inquired why the fairy felt the need to share such information, emphasizing that they had no dealings with humans. However, the fairy insisted on explaining that Kang Hansu had rescued them from the village chief. Hearing this, Esoppresso interjected, asking about the princess's dagger that was in Kang Hansu's possession, and urged the fairy not to trust humans. Nonetheless, the fairy reiterated that despite that fact, Kang Hansu had indeed saved them from the chief. Esoppresso expressed her annoyance at the fairy's disclosure, questioning the relevance of such information since they had no involvement with humans. During their ongoing conversation, Celeblis, a councilwoman of the fairies, suddenly interrupted them. As a fairy royal with infinite life, Celeblis attempted to explain to Esoppresso that Kang Hansu, the human, had saved them, and there was no need for hostility towards him. However, Esoppresso remained skeptical, suggesting that Kang Hansu's actions were driven by a desire to obtain Celeblis's infinite life. Celeblis countered this notion, explaining that Kang Hansu had formed a dark pact with the chief. In this pact, Kang Hansu exploited a violation clause, which required him to pay back as much as he had taken. As a result, the chief underestimated Kang Hansu's life force and ultimately self-destructed. After conveying all of this information, Celeblis made an earnest attempt to calm Esoppresso down, which brought tears to her eyes. Celeblis explained that she needed to find Kang Hansu, despite the initial disapproval from the other fairies. Before departing, she advised the fairies, including Espresso, that the next time they meet, they should not address her as a councilwoman. Meanwhile, our attention shifts to the outsider god, who had been listening to their conversation. With the conversation nearing its end, the outsider god departs and heads towards Kang Hansu's location. There, it approaches the seemingly alive Kang Hansu and inquires about his well-being. Returning to the temple, we find the heroes, who had expressed their interest in learning swordsmanship, being led to a grand banquet hall. They took their seats and enjoyed a moment of relaxation, sipping on tea. As the atmosphere grew lively, the prince raised his cup for a toast, catching the attention of everyone present. With a confident smile, he issued a challenge to the commander of knights, inviting the heroes to observe closely, as he would be showcasing the very swordsmanship they were eager to learn. Following the initial round of the spar, both the prince and the commander swiftly took hold of their swords, engaging in a series of rapid exchanges. The heroes watched in awe as the two skilled warriors showcased their impressive swordsmanship. However, as the intense duel progressed, the prince found himself disarmed by the commander, marking the end of the first round. Undeterred, the prince quickly regained his composure and readied himself for the second round, eager to demonstrate the very skill that the heroes aspired to learn. He swiftly healed his wounds and firmly grasped his sword once more. With a determined expression, he urged the commander to unleash his full potential, causing a radiant aura to envelop both their blades. The clash of swords resonated through the hall as their auras intertwined. In a single, decisive strike, the prince managed to cleave the commander's sword in two, bringing an end to their intense spar. The heroes watched in amazement, inspired by the prince's remarkable display of skill and power. As the heroes exchanged astonished glances, trying to comprehend the breathtaking display they had just witnessed, the prince interjected to offer an explanation. He clarified that what they had witnessed was the very essence of the swordsmanship they would be taught. It was a formidable style capable of vanquishing enemies in a single, devastating strike. The prince went on to assure the heroes that with this technique, they could easily triumph over the formidable ironclad cavalry, surpassing even the legendary feats of defeating the Demon King. The heroes, filled with anticipation and excitement, eagerly heeded the prince's words and reached for their teacups. As they took a sip, their expressions quickly soured, finding the taste unpleasant. However, the prince encouraged them to endure, explaining that the tea served as a medicinal elixir. It would grant them a unique blessing known as the Warrior's Quickening, enhancing their abilities in swordsmanship. Undeterred, Choi Gangmin boldly downed his tea in one swift gulp and requested another, displaying his determination not to fall behind. Perched atop a tree in the forest, Kang Hansu surveyed his surroundings, acknowledging that the leap from the cliff would have proven fatal had the forest not been situated beneath it. Directly below him, a pack of drooling gnolls eagerly awaited an opportunity to devour him. Irony laced his words as Kang Hansu remarked that he now placed more trust in gnolls than fairies. Nevertheless, he decided to engage them in combat, recognizing that he had some pressing questions that needed answers. Within moments, Kang Hansu effortlessly defeated the pack of gnolls, leaving him to contemplate whether his newfound strength was the reason he dispatched them with ease. Despite his curiosity, his disappointment grew as he checked his status window and discovered that he remained at level 1. However, a glimmer of intrigue caught his attention: the increase in his dividend. Intrigued, Kang Hansu directed his inquiry to the outsider god, questioning the nature of the dividend. The outsider god chuckled in response, opting to withhold the precise details but emphasizing that a higher dividend was advantageous. Undeterred, Kang Hansu turned his focus to one of the gnolls still alive, engaging in an interrogation about gnoll swordsmanship and how to wield it effectively. He recognized that he still felt inadequate and sought to harness the power of gnoll swordsmanship to exact his revenge upon the goddess. The bewildering gnoll continued to babble nonsensically, attributing power to something as basic as meat. Kang Hansu found himself perplexed by this response. Nevertheless, he resolved that in order to unlock the secrets of their power, he needed to delve deeper into the gnoll ecosystem and gain a better understanding of their ways. The scene transitions back to the banquet hall, where the prince elucidates to the heroes that unlike magic, swordsmanship does not necessarily require innate talent. In the midst of this explanation, Choi Gangmin is seen guzzling down an excessive amount of the tea, displaying his unwavering determination to become stronger as quickly as possible. However, the prince intervenes and advises him that the more tea he consumes, the less effective it becomes. Instead, he recommends drinking it once every day, emphasizing the importance of consistency. In that very moment, Choi Gangmin is bestowed with a blessing called grit, which empowers him to grow stronger with each battle. However, it comes with the condition that his strength will be reset to normal if his will falters or if he is defeated. Impressed by this newfound blessing, The prince congratulates Choi Gangmin and expresses high expectations for his future endeavors. In the forest, Kang Hansu vigilantly observes the movements and behavior of the gnolls, swiftly putting them in their place whenever they dare to attack him. After an extensive period of studying the gnolls, Kang Hansu becomes adept at utilizing their swordsmanship techniques efficiently. He remarks that while the gnolls derive their power from the food they consume, he draws his strength from his own life force, reassured by the fact that the outsider's blessing resets it every time. With the outsider god looking on, seemingly impressed by Kang Hansu's progress, he decides to return to the village, fully prepared to exact his revenge on those wretched fairies he once saved. Upon his arrival at the village, Kang Hansu stealthily infiltrates the area and eliminates all the guards, discreetly disposing of their lifeless bodies. As he waits, he notices the absence of fairies and grows curious about their whereabouts. However, his attention is swiftly diverted to a fairy who is being forcibly taken by humans towards Chief Crimson's lair. The scene then transitions, revealing Espresso in her room as she is suddenly ambushed by a group of humans who forcefully drag her to the chief's lair. There, both Espresso and her fellow fairies suffer a brutal fate at the hands of the humans, who perceive them as a threat and mistakenly believe that the fairies hold animosity towards humans. Soon, the humans confronted the councilwoman of the fairies, Celeblis, contemplating whether to eliminate her because of her influential position in the fairy lineage. Despite their hesitation, they ultimately choose to end her life. Just as they are about to carry out the act, Kang Hansu emerges and ruthlessly terminates all of them, thus rescuing Celeblis. Suddenly, Celeblis reveals her status window to Kang Hansu, displaying her name and her blessings, including the intriguing tamer blessings that catch his attention. As Kang Hansu ponders the reason behind the fairy showing him her status window, the nagging voice of the outsider god interrupts his thoughts, much to his disappointment. In light of this, Kang Hansu makes a decision to release the fairy. He acknowledges his desire to eliminate all fairies, but recognizes that doing so would only make him no different from them. With this realization, he sets Celeblis free, expressing through body language that she should take care of herself. However, just as he is about to leave, Celeblis unexpectedly leaps from the chair she was bound to, surprising Kang Hansu. He catches her in his hands and questions her intentions, but his shock grows as Celeblis calls out his name, indicating that she knows who he is. With that, Kang Hansu assisted Celeblis outside, but upon noticing the annoyance of the outsider god, he felt the need to hurry. Taking the initiative, he carried Celeblis in his arms as they made their way through the woods. However, their progress was abruptly halted by the sudden appearance of a phoenix. Startled, Kang Hansu came to a stop, but Celeblis, using gestures, motioned for him to set her down. She approached the phoenix and utilized her tamer skills to tame the majestic creature, leaving Kang Hansu astonished. Without warning, Celeblis then walked back to Kang Hansu and planted a kiss on his lips before boarding the phoenix. Calling out his name once again, she bid him farewell and soared away on the back of the phoenix, leaving Kang Hansu in a state of shock. As Celeblis departed, the outsider god expressed his dissatisfaction with Kang Hansu's actions, pulling at his hair. While engaged in their banter, their conversation was abruptly interrupted by the sudden appearance of Kang Hansu's status window, revealing a new blessing called Fairy. This blessing greatly increased his lifespan, much to Kang Hansu's delight, realizing that by combining the blessings of the outsider and the fairy, he would be able to utilize the gnoll swordsmanship endlessly. He felt a surge of joy. Curious about Kang Hansu's happiness, the outsider god inquired, and Kang Hansu explained that he was pleased to have finally parted ways with the fairy. This brought joy to the outsider god, and together they ventured deeper into the forest. Their attention was then drawn to a roaming gnoll, and Kang Hansu swiftly grabbed its neck, wearing a menacing expression as he demanded to know the location of its base. The scene transitions to the heroes finding themselves in a dense jungle, accompanied by the prince and princess who have taken on the task of helping them level up. While exploring the jungle, the heroes spot slimes and decide to attack them. However, the princess intervenes, emphasizing the importance of slimes in maintaining the balance of the environment, and advises against harming them. Disappointed, the heroes comply with her request. The prince then takes charge and clarifies that their real objective is to hunt level 4 creatures known as gnolls. Concerned about their own low level, the heroes express their worries, believing they have no chance against these powerful enemies. To alleviate their concerns, the princess reassures them, explaining that they have the saintess who can revive them even if they die, sending shivers down the heroes' spines. As they continue their journey, the heroes suddenly find themselves under attack by a pack of gnolls. They put up a valiant fight, but ultimately, they are ruthlessly slain, prompting the prince to step in and save them from the dire situation. The saintess swiftly intervened, using her powers to revive the injured and fallen heroes, leaving them in awe. She encouraged them to fight with unwavering determination, assuring them that she would revive them each time they met their demise. This newfound assurance infused the heroes with renewed morale and they fought relentlessly. Choi Gangmin advanced to level 2, gaining a new blessing, while Kang Mian also reached level 2. Eubora, who had been struggling against the formidable monsters, managed to reach level 3. With their increasing levels, the heroes continued to grow stronger and hone their skills. Meanwhile, Kang Hansu calmly traversed the lifeless gnoll bodies strewn across his path, while the outsider god inquired about the number of gnolls he had slain. Kang Hansu simply replied, "Thousands." Curiosity piqued, Kang Hansu decided to inspect his status window, settling atop one of the fallen gnolls. As he glanced at his status window, an unsettling revelation awaited him. The status window revealed a new curse, but that wasn't the cause of his disbelief. With a mixture of frustration and disbelief in his eyes, Kang Hansu exclaimed, as he realized that he just can't level up.